Welcome to Granny Shift, and I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jason.
And this is minute 25 of Fast 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, hey, it's Jesse from the original Fast and the Furious, and you're listening to Granny Shifting, the Fast and Furious podcast.
The best Granny Shifting podcast, the best Fast and Furious podcast on the internet.
Which is Granny Shifting, which is the podcast you're listening to.
With the most episodes. And the best Patreon. Congratulations to the big winner.
Patreon member?
You're going to fill that in?
Nope.
All right.
I'm just saying Patreon member.
Yeah, Patreon member. Why?
It's like when you enter the boxing ring on Olympus.
Okay.
And the announcer lady is like, what does she say? You know, you play
Someone's entered the boxing ring.
No. What does she say?
You got a fighter in the ring.
Yeah. But it's like,
I don't know.
I don't
You're
know.
asking me for quotes? You should know better
from
than
a
that by now.
game. You know the game.
I know the game.
But it's just like generic. It's like the big fighter
Yeah. A fighter has entered the ring.
who's gonna defeat the master. I don't know. It's just like very generic.
Thanks. Congratulations to the winner, buddy. So somebody
Your
won.
name here. She
but-
does say your name here, doesn't she say?
Oh, I don't know that.
Man, who is that does that?
I don't know. It's Apex, though. This is the Fast and Furious podcast, Ryan.
Yes.
But somebody did win big. We don't know who it is because we recorded this way ahead of time because
Yeah.
Christmas is coming. And this year we aren't taking a week off. Probably. Unless Ryan forgot to post it. But
I'm gonna split all these episodes into halves so we can take a week off.
yeah.
All right.
So you could with how long they are.
Getting into this minute here, minute 25 of the Fast Five. Basically, we know this guy's name is Senor Reyes. We don't know his first name, but Reyes, obviously meaning king. That makes sense.
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's having the conversation. Why are you still going through this? You're going to remember all this?
What do you mean going through this?
We're 11 seconds into the minute. We haven't said a word about the minute yet.
I feel like we know what he's saying.
All right,
and
go
this
ahead.
is not a laptop. See, not a laptop.
Yeah, okay.
This is like a desk setup.
Oh, and
He's
behind
had
him is a picture of Rio de Janeiro.
He is saying basically what you described last minute. He goes into the favelas and gives them something to lose.
This is his strategy. He likes
Yeah.
the Portuguese strategy.
He said, if you dominate with violence,
They
you'll be
fight
met
back,
with violence because they have nothing to lose.
which is a great point.
Yeah. So what I
Because-
do is I go into the favelas and give them something to lose. Which is basically what you said about giving Sears catalogs back up to Mexicans
Yes,
working at this plant that you talked about.
right. It gives them something they need and keeps them locked in. And it
Yeah.
also sounds a whole lot like socialism.
Mm.
He says he gives them electricity,
More
running
like-
water,
more like
school rooms
dictatorship.
for the kids. Socialism is like free stuff from the government provided to you.
Yeah, but there's somebody who can take it away like that.
The government. Yeah. That's the problem with socialism, Ryan.
Oh, like the bishop. He can just take it all away.
The bishop.
In the Amish community.
Yeah.
That's socialism.
Okay.
So he gives them electricity, running water, schoolrooms for their kids.
I just said that.
So the things that he provides is electricity, which electricity is
Schoolrooms.
like power through cables.
Yeah, wires.
Somehow that works.
There's
You know,
there's like copper wires sometimes. Sometimes they use aluminum.
yeah. And you know Ohm's law, obviously.
Yeah. The greater
Power
the
plus
resistance,
velocity
the more
equals-
voltage you need to pass a current through it
Yes.
at a higher rate.
Yeah. And schoolrooms for their kids. He said something about that.
And for that taste of a better life,
I own them.
does he say that?
Yeah.
Oh, he does.
Oh, he
Look at
says
you,
that.
Just remembering everything. This is going to be a really... Let's start this minute over. All right, so he says all this, and he says, gentlemen, and holds his glass up like a toast, and these two guys sitting
They're-
quietly.
Oh, okay.
Best part to be in a movie ever.
Yeah.
Hey, we need you to put a suit on, come sit at this table, He's going to say some stuff. You just hold your glass up. You don't have to say a word.
Right.
They
But
don't say-
like, he finishes his speech and toasts, and they're like, "Oh yeah," it's like they're making a deal. But honestly, at the beginning, he was like,
I don't like your way of, I want to work in your country, but I don't like your way of business. You're too
Right.
violent. And then he makes a case for why not to be violent. And
Right.
they're like, yeah.
basically, he said, "You're doing it wrong."
Yeah. But the first mate, the guy that was in charge on the train heist.
Do you think we should
Comes
find out
in.
his name?
Yeah. He comes in and he says, I apologize for the interruption,
Yeah.
but we found them.
Zizi.
He says, Senor Reyes, may I speak with you? And he's speaking in Portuguese, so those guys probably can't understand him
Oh, true. Yeah.
because Brazil is the only country that speaks Portuguese, which you would know if you listened
But
to
they
the last
all,
episode.
all speak English, I guess, because he was talking in English the whole time to
Yeah.
these other guys.
So, what's his name?
Which one?
First mate.
ZZ,
ZZ says, we found them.
meaning Dom and Brian.
Yes. Which must be a big deal to this guy.
Yeah.
Because he says, pardon me, gentlemen, and gets up out of his chair. Now, my first thought was, okay, how did they find him? Vince shows up, and then this guy finds out they find
Right.
him. Well, camera scene change here, and we're back in the shop by the GT40. They're not working on it. Empty shop, but Vince walks in. So it's totally like the camera work here is leading you towards believing Vince is the reason
Yeah.
that they found him.
And so they have this whole car torn apart, and Vince walks straight up to the head unit.
Yeah, the radio, which is sitting there with a shop light. Okay,
Pointed straight at the back of it
how many inches away is that?
from the melted wires.
Seriously, the shop light is literally like leaning on it. The wire cage of the shop light, which is there because
Yeah.
shop lights get so hot.
Yeah. It's
Leaning
probably like
on the
6
wiring
inches
harness.
away.
Yeah, and luckily it's showing us good lighting. You know, they're like setting up the shot, like, oh, it's dark in this. How are we going to see what he's pulling out? Just lean the shop light right
Right,
on it. They
yeah.
left the shop light on. Those wires would be so melted.
Yeah.
Those lights get hot, man.
Which is why they went away from all that. His hand would be hot right now.
Yeah, so he reaches to the back of the radio and slips out a little microchip.
Yeah. Out of the back of the head unit. Which, would this car even have a head unit? I guess it was like
Yeah, probably have a radio.
aftermarket.
Maybe.
Like
Yeah.
that looks like aftermarket to me.
So I guess now we can assume there's some data on this that's important.
That's what they've
And-
been looking for.
He's working for the cartel.
He knew right away where to go.
And he waited till no one was there.
Right. It wasn't like when he's like, "Oh, what a mess. What are you guys looking for?"
Right.
He knew exactly what they were looking for.
And he was acting kind of shady. Brian
Yeah.
called him out. It's interesting, like you pointed out, he called Brian out from the start in the first movie. He's a cop over and over and was right.
Right.
Now Brian's calling him out
Mm-hmm.
as being shady. And both times Dom's like, no, we trust them.
Right. Right.
They're family.
Dom's got bad. What do you call it? Instincts.
But good trust.
Yeah.
Too
maybe
much trust.
trust. Yeah.
And then in the very last second of this minute, we hear Dom's voice, and Vince jerks his head up like he just
Yeah.
got caught in the middle of something, which he did.
Dom says, "Almost wish I didn't see that." How was that? Was that good?
Yeah.
Almost wish I didn't.
Oh, yeah. That was really good. So
He says, "Almost
Vince
wish I
is
didn't see that."
busted.
Was this a setup? We'll talk about this more next week.
Yeah, I
on
don't
Granny
know.
Shifting.
We will find out.
Yeah, it seems like a setup.
Like Dom sitting in the dark corner. He did that before too, right? Where did
When?
he emerge from the dark one time? It was like after they caught Brian sneaking into what's his name's room.
And what's his name's room?
A shop. Vince is about to say, "Oh, I was just trying to find out what engines they're running."
Hector's got 3 spoon engines,
Right.
Borla exhaust.
Remember, Dom did the same thing.
No,
Brian
no.
gets knocked out. As he comes to, Dom emerges from the dark.
Right. But he comes out of the shop and is running, and then gets hit by the butt of a gun. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be exciting.
Doesn't look good for Vince, honestly.
Not good.
I mean, there's a reason why he is still alive in the favelas.
Yeah, and made
not
it
his
back
smile.
and
Yeah.
didn't have the car.
Right.
There's some questions that should have been asked.
And
that
he
weren't
set up
asked.
this job. Did he think that Brian and Dom and Mia wouldn't figure out that it was like a different type of job? Was he just hoping? He's like, well, I need the money. I
They
need
needed the
people."
work. Maybe
Yeah.
he was getting way more to do the dirty part and knew they wouldn't agree to it.
Yeah. If he knew Dom at all, you would think he'd be like, no, I don't want Dom in this. He's going to figure something out. He's so intuitive.
Here's a question for you.
Okay.
So it's the cartel's car, so they know it's there. The DSS obviously knows this car's a big deal. Like this car got stolen. Remember, we're like
Okay.
both people wanted the cartel and
Oh, they were DEA cars.
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I forgot that.
Why didn't they just pull this thing out already? Unless they didn't even know it was in there.
They didn't know that there was something in the GT40.
Right. Otherwise, it shouldn't. But the
But they didn't
movie
know where it
makes
was
it seem
either.
like they knew something was in there because otherwise it would have just been some car thieves stealing cars.
Right.
It doesn't make sense for the amount of infrastructure they sent. Infrastructure is more of a stationary word. The amount of what's a mobile
Like security?
infrastructure? All the stuff they sent down. The planes, the tanks, the
Okay.
the
Yeah,
personnel
Okay.
to
yeah.
try to stop them. It's like
Right.
they got something we want.
Right.
It's a big deal.
What is it? Huh. I don't know.
Incriminating evidence.
Maybe.
Why would you store it on the back
Maybe
of
it's a picture of The Rock with non-lubricated skin. He's like, I
Oh.
can't let that get out.
Yeah.
It's a picture of me without my baby oil on my arms.
And all right, just a word of advice to our listeners. If you're ever going to do a crime, and part of it includes having some data, and you need to hide that data, back it up somewhere.
Yeah.
It will save you a lot of hassle from stealing $1 million car. You can just copy it onto another hard drive.
Yeah, like if they had the data and this was
Data.
if they had the data, this was a duplicate of the data, and do you think that anybody would have ever known that this was in there?
I don't know.
Like their concern might be, okay, we don't want to copy this because we don't want multiple records of this going around.
Maybe the cartel doesn't want the data getting out.
Right, that's what I mean. And so they're like, okay, well, it's in this car now, and the car's going down the train tracks. But even if they had a second copy, would they still go after the first one? Because they don't want someone else to find it.
Oh, the cartel doesn't want them to find it.
Right.
But it's such
But
an
if you-
obscure spot. They aren't going to check
Right.
that.
The only reason that this car is of such interest is because the cartel's like, we need that back.
Oh.
But if they didn't act like that, wherever these cars were going, whoever they got purchased by or impounded
Right.
to would have never thought to look into the back of the head unit of the car.
Right. Brian, Mia, and Dom didn't even find it.
Right.
So the DA would have, or the DSS would have never found it.
Oh, my word. I'm thinking of later scenes in this movie, and that just
Oh, no.
makes me angry.
Okay, we better end it. Ryan's getting all worked up here. His blood pressure's rising.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Oh, boy. Oh, check out my new shirt. You like this?
I do love it.
It says Smoke 'em. I haven't had this one. It's the Supra shirt. It's
Yeah.
awesome. So
It's available in our shop,
check it out.
threadless.com/GrannyShiftPod.
You got it.
And always remember,
Winning's winning.